All right, we're about 2 weeks into the season. I've been evaluating the players, but before I get into that, I wanted to talk about what's going on around the league. There's been a couple trades that have been really surprising, and I just want to let you guys know what's going on. So the Indiana Pacers and the 76ers completed a trade for Paul George. The Pacers sent George to the Sixers for Jahlil Okafor, Robert Covington, and 2 first-round picks. So that's just, the 76ers are really dangerous now. You've got Ben Simmons, Paul George, Dario Saric, and Joel Embiid. That is a solid core right there for the Sixers. The Sixers, what is dangerous is George could leave in free agency because he's got this year and he's got one more year on his deal before he can opt out. But they're trying to sell him on playing with the young core and building to the future with that core because George is only 26. A lot of those guys are still pretty young in their early 20s, the rest of that core, but they're just trying to sell him on like, he's still generally young. These guys are young. They can build for the future and make a run right as LeBron's getting old. They're going to all be hitting their primes because it was said that George either wants to come back to LA, which is what we're kind of banking on. So I'm kind of worried about him being on Philly now because that Philadelphia is looking better for him than Indiana because he said he wanted to play on a winner if he was going to stay in Indiana. So that's why Indiana was making moves to try to win. They kind of realized that they can't. They're all they're doing is trading first round picks for older veterans, and then the veterans seem to fall off and not work out. So they finally traded him for, it's a decent haul, to the Sixers, and now the Sixers are trying to sell George on that future. So we're over here in LA crossing our fingers that George won't like that future in Philly, but I'm kind of worried because that's a pretty good core right there that they've got if George can stay. So this year and next year we're really going to be monitoring how Philadelphia does, because if they're doing great over there and they're making the playoffs and starting to make deep runs, George is probably going to re-sign and say, well, if we're going to the second round now or the conference finals now and getting beat by LeBron, when LeBron starts getting older, he's figuring that they can make a run at the championship. So that trade happened. And then the Milwaukee Bucks traded Rasheed Vaughn and Greg Monroe to the Phoenix Suns for Tyson Chandler and Eric Bledsoe. So the Bucks here get Eric Bledsoe, that starting point guard that they haven't had. He's a solid defender, can shoot the ball, can run the pick and roll, and they get Tyson Chandler, a good defensive center. That team is really good defensively, really long defensively. So they get Chandler, and then the Suns get out of those 2 big contracts, especially Chandler's, because Chandler's like, he's in his late 30s and he's on that huge deal. And they get rid of Bledsoe because they need to open up they've still got Brandon Knight who they're shopping, and now they can open up minutes for Knight and Tyler Ulis to really see what they've got there. And they get Tyson Chandler's contract off, so that probably allows them to re-sign Alex Len now because they've got all that money. Not completely sure. And they pick up Rasheed Vaughn, a young shooting guard, maybe a small forward who really looks like he's got a lot of potential to be a 3-and-D wing. So the Suns continue their rebuild, get a lot of salary off. The Bucks are really making a push in the East to go for it. So you've got the Sixers and the Bucks pushing. You've got the Pacers going into a rebuild and the Suns continuing their rebuild. So that's kind of what's going on around the league currently. So now I want to talk about our team. In the past 2 weeks, I have cut 2 guys. We've cut Tariq Black and Thomas Robinson. Both of them are kind of big guys. Black's a center. Robinson's a power forward. Both of them rebound. Neither of them can really shoot the ball. They weren't getting any time for us. Both of them were riding the bench. So I've released both of them. Black got picked up by the Brooklyn Nets. I checked what's going on over there. He's playing about 10-15 minutes a game for them, so I'm happy for him. Robinson's still a free agent. Hopefully he gets picked up. Best of luck to him. But neither of them were really in our future plans. They're both kind of older, and they just weren't going to get any time. I don't see any future with this team. So I figured it's best just to release them, let them go, look for other options. So with those 2 cuts, that has opened up 2 roster spots. And with those spots, I've signed 2 guys. The first guy I signed is Kostas Papanikolaou. He's from Greece. He's 6'8". He's 26 years old. He can shoot the 3 and defend. He's kind of 3-and-D wing. He's a small forward. He's 6'8". I already said that. He's a small forward. He can play power forward. He's from Greece. I really like his potential. I think he could be a solid wing in this league. 2 years ago, he was on the Houston Rockets, and he showed a lot of potential, and then he kind of just got bumped down their depth chart and never really got to play. He got released from them. Then Denver picked him up. Same thing kind of happened there. He never really got to play. He was on the rosters, but he would get like 5-10 minutes a game, and it's really hard when you're playing one game every 2-3 weeks, getting 5 or 10 minutes to show a team that you're valuable. So my plan is here. I think he is. I think he's got some potential. I think he can be a good player in this league. So I've picked him up. I plan on giving him about 10 minutes a game to show me that he can play in this league. If not, then at the end of the season, his contract's up. We'll just let him go. So really just going to give him the shot that I think he deserves, and we'll see what happens with Papanikolaou. With the other open roster spot that I created, I picked up Thanasis Antetokounmpo, Giannis' younger brother. He's 24. He's 6'6". He's a 3-and-D wing. He's shown a lot of potential shooting the ball, and he's got just those long arms, long body attributes that you really can't, you just have, and he's got them, and he can play D. He's shown potential shooting the ball. He's from Greece. He's Giannis' little brother. He's not going to become Giannis, but I think he's got potential to be a solid 3-and-D wing in this league. I think he can play small forward or shooting guard. Like I said, he's 6'6", so he's a big guard, long arms. The last 2 years, I think he's played for the Knicks D League. He got called up to the Knicks on a 10-day contract. And like I said with Kostas, it's kind of hard on a 10-day contract. Your first 3 days, you're spent learning the team. You don't know the guys. And then you really only play 5 or 10 minutes. So it's really difficult to show what kind of an NBA player you are. So my plan is with these two guys to just sign them both for the whole year. They're going to play the whole year. Right now they're starting out about 10 minutes a game, to just give them a shot to prove to me that earn more time, and then throughout the season prove to me that they can be a player on this team long term. So I'm really just taking chances with these 3-and-D wings just to see what they've got, and I think they can turn into something. I also want to let you guys know how some of the other guys on the team are doing, and also Thanasis and Kostas. It'll probably be a video or two before you see them playing. I want to get them in the gym really shooting and working on their D, perfecting what I want to see them do in the games before I throw them in the games, to just make sure when they do play, they've been practicing and they're prepared to really show what they can do. And then Tyler Ennis, I want to update you guys on him. He's really showing me a lot. He's playing really good defense. He's a playmaker. He can pull up off the dribble. He can catch and shoot the three. His mid-range game is good. He's a guy who I thought I would probably be releasing right now. Like 2 weeks ago when the season started, I thought right now he would be one of those guys I was releasing. I always kind of planned on releasing 2 guys and opening up 2 spots to bring in 2 guys that I like. And Ennis was one of those guys that I thought. But he's really played his way into staying on this team right now. He's really solidified himself as the backup point guard to Russell. I bring him in and I bring Clarkson in. And Ennis is really showing me a lot of good stuff right now. He's only 22. He's 6'3". He plays smaller than 6'3", but I really like how he can shoot the ball. And he's our only really true point guard off the bench. So, because Clarkson's kind of a, I don't know. Clarkson, some days I'm like he's a point guard, and some days I'm like he's a shooting guard. But Ennis has just really proven to me that he can be a player in the NBA. So right now he's just earning his spot on this team. I also want to let you guys know how David Nwaba is doing. I think that's how you say it, David Nwaba. He is actually playing really good right now. He's been knocking down the threes. He is a lockdown defender. He's had 2 tough assignments on James Harden and Russell Westbrook. So he really, those are just 2 tough guys. It's going to be more interesting to see when he's not guarding one of the top 5 players in the league and see how he does. But right now, he's been defending great. He's been shooting the ball great. He can kind of handle the ball a little bit. He's strong, so they've tried to post him up a few times. They haven't been able to get around him. He's 6'4", so he's got decent height. He's only 23, like I said. He can play shooting guard or small forward. I'm thinking about trying a small ball lineup with putting Nwaba at the 3 and being able to play Clarkson and Russell together. So probably going to try that in the future here. But Nwaba he's proven to me that he deserves to stay on this team too. He was one of those guys who I thought, he wasn't like Ennis where I was like, I'm probably going to have to cut him, but I was like, there's a possibility that he might have to get cut. But right now, he is just playing his way out of getting cut. Another guy that, this isn't a guy that I'm updating you on getting cut from, but Nick Young has been playing really good. He's playing good on the defensive end, and he's shooting the 3. I've had several teams calling me about his availability, so I'm thinking we're probably going to have to trade him, get rid of him, because we need to open up some time at the shooting guard and small forward positions for Thanasis, Kostas, and Nwaba to really get some time at. So Young's probably going to be a guy who we're going to get rid of. I'm taking offers on him right now. We're going to get into that next video. Next video is really going to be about possible trades, but I'm just letting you guys know right now that Nick Young is a guy that teams are calling on. He's shooting the three really good. He's playmaking. His mid-range shooting is good. He can pull up off the dribble, and he's actually playing good defensively. I'm not sure why, but he's really trying on the defensive end. Maybe he wants to get traded to a contender. So he's a guy who, in the next video, we're going to take a look at possible trades, and he's going to be a guy we're talking about. That's going to wrap it up for this video, which was pretty much just updates about how the team is going. We're 2-3 weeks into the season. We're 3-7 right now, so not the best, but again, we're not really planning on making the playoffs. I'm not necessarily tanking, but I'm playing my young guys, because if we are out of the top 3, we lose that pick to the 76. We lose our pick to the 76ers. So I'd really prefer to get in the top 3, but then again, the draft lottery, it's so risky. Like, we could be the 4th or 5th team, and it might bump us up into the top 3 and we still get to keep our pick. Or we could be the worst team in the league and it would drop us all the way to 4 or 5 and the 76ers would get our pick. So I'm not really focused on that. I'm just focused on kind of playing all the young guys. That's why next video we're going to be talking about getting rid of some of the veterans. And then throughout the season we're going to evaluate the young guys. Who are keepers? Who do we get rid of? The plan right now is just to kind of free up some time for the young guys to play the rest of the season, see what they've got. I want to thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.